Joining us today for the Thrive Thursday Everyone Has a Story Spotlight series. Today, I am joined by the lovely Diahann Smith. She is Chapter 12 and Thrive Thursday Episode 18 guest. Well, Diahann, I am so excited to speak with you today to discuss a little bit about your chapter and to get some insights for you. So to kick us off, I want to take us back. I'm going to take you back to the beginning of this year when I had the idea of putting together a book with our Thrive Thursday guests. Well, at that time, I sent an email. Actually, I think it was around Thanksgiving of 2020. And I sent an email out to about 60 people. And with this idea that I wanted to put this book together. Now, interestingly enough, I only got responses from about 13 or 14 people. And this got me thinking, why out of 60 would only 13 or 14 say yes? So at this time, I would love to hear, why did you say yes to be part of the book project?
Oh, absolutely. It's an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you so much for this time. The reason why I said yes is because I paused and I made a conscious decision. I refuse to take my treasures to the grave. We go through so many experiences in this life and we rob others of their victory when we refuse to share our story.
Ooh,
right?
That is powerful. Almost say that again. I want to hear that again. Go ahead.
We rob others of their victory when we refuse to share our story.
Ooh, that is powerful. Where did you come up with that epiphany? Like, did something happen? Did you take a moment to pause and think on that? Where did that come from?
So I had a monumental birthday last year, right? And I've been reflecting, what would I like the second chapter of Grace to look like, right? When you're younger, you have all these ideas about what is significant in life, and they all tend to be superficial, things that are not meaningful. But when you've had enough life experiences, you begin to recognize the frailty of life. And so I said, now that I've hit this monumental birthday, what do you want your legacy to be? And so I want my legacy to be able to be traced through one of the most powerful mechanisms we have, the ability to share our stories audibly. When you write your words, when you say something, someone can always go back and be able to figure out something because they now have a plan that they can look at through your words.
Wow, I love that. And it's so interesting. Just last night, I was listening to an audiobook, Oprah Winfrey's book that speaks about finding your purpose. And they were speaking about, just as you said, when you're young, out of high school, out of college, trying to figure it out, it's all about, I'm striving to obtain this title. I'm striving to obtain this possession, whether it's a house, whether it's a whatever, a number in a bank account. And you're right. Then you get to that midlife section and you look backwards and you realize, okay, all right, I spent that time doing that. But there has to be more. There has to be more of an imprint that we are leaving on this world. And, for me, what we did with Thrive Thursday is we captured a moment in time that, and it's funny that we're doing this in 21, which of course is 20 years since September 11th. So we've been watching all of this stuff, speaking about that. And I think about this, at some point, 10 years, 15 years, who knows down the future,
Mhm.
people won't remember what it was like living through a global pandemic.
Mm.
I hope they don't remember, because it'll be so far in the past and they're not experiencing that anymore. And so us capturing these stories and us showing what we did during this time, it's imprinted on the world forever, right? And so we are making that difference, and that's why I'm so happy that you said yes to be part of this project. And now I want to dive into a couple of things that you mentioned in your chapter. Okay, so first thing, how important is attitude and perspective?
Attitude and perspective is everything, for it directs the lens in which we look at life. When your attitude is not positive or rounded in or rooted in optimism, it blinds our ability to perceive a way. All we're going to see is gloom and despair if we do not look through a lens of optimism.
So how do you do that? Like, what's a recommendation that you could provide?
Sure. So I have found that attitude is dictated by how we see ourselves, right? When we see ourselves as valuable and a gift, we begin to look at life by not what we lack, but what we have left. So when you begin to really understand that there's always, as long as you have breath in your body, there is an opportunity before you, you will begin to shift how you look at things.
Yeah, and that every breath that we have means our work isn't done, right? There's more for us to give. There's more for us to give, and there's a reason why we're here today, right? And because of that, it has to be for positive, right? There has to be something good that we have to do, whether it's for ourselves, our family, our teams, for the world. There's more left to be done because we're still here, right?
So true.
Wow,
So,
I love
so
that. Love that. Okay, I want to speak about change. We
Sure.
certainly know, 2020, a lot of change, 21, I'm sure everybody's still going through a lot of change, but yet a lot of times we push and we don't want to go with that change. So what's how do you look at change?
Oh, yeah. So change is the mechanism, it's the vehicle by which we're driven to our blessings. You cannot get to the very things you've prayed for, the very things that you've ascribed to without movement. And so that happens with change. So your relationship with change has to be one where you understand it's necessary, it's a natural ebb of life, and that it is required of you if you want more out of life.
Wow, that is so powerful. And I literally could sit here and just listen to you, speak, because I can tell you're filling up my cup. You're making me feel full. So thank you for that. All right, and we'll flow right into, okay, let's speak about those blessings.
Yeah.
How do you recommend that we ensure our gratitude for those blessings? Because I think, again, it's tough. A lot of times we're chasing and we're always saying, well, if only I get this, or if only I achieve that, or if only. And even when we get it, a lot of times we're not grateful for what we have received. So how do you recommend, practicing gratitude and making sure that we truly appreciate those blessings?
Sure. In a world where we are obsessed with destination fatigue, we're so fixated on, oh, I have to get this done and I have to get to the next thing. You have to be intentional about how you live. And just as we pencil in appointments of, I have to go to the doctor, I have to go to my next meeting, you pencil in moments of gratitude. Start the day by setting the tone of putting your attentions and your emotions on what has happened that I need to be grateful for. And it doesn't have to be these monumental things. It can be something just as simple as I woke up today. And while it sounds simple, There'll be many people who want to trade places with us because they didn't wake up today.
Right.
And so when you become intentional about cultivating gratitude by making it a habit of starting your day with gratitude moments, it becomes a habit.
Yeah, and it's funny. I am obsessed with history. I love looking behind me to realize how we got here, right? There's so much we can learn by looking behind us. And when you just go back even 50 years, right? Forget, you don't even have to go back 100 or 200 or 300, just 50 years, 40 years, right? And you realize how simple things were and how we've gotten so fast paced and so much of this level of achievement that those little things that used to make us happy, now we just take it for granted, right?
You can't be grateful without thoughtfulness, right? And that has to be a byproduct of being still. And if you're not still, you can't be centered. You can't be sound of perspective as it pertains to looking inward. And so you cannot find the mechanisms for cultivating gratitude without stillness. And so when do you even get the moment to even lock into what's happening around you, right? We always say, oh, I'm looking forward to getting to this moment, but you're not experiencing the present. You're not even appreciating the journey of getting to the next reward, the next major monumental moment, because you're so fixated on, I have to. And you're just missing vital moments, people that God's so necessary for you to meet in this moment. You know, there are things about yourself that are being developed, that's being unveiled. You're not even paying attention or noticing them. They're building a picture to something greater that you need, but you're unable to see all of it because you're not being still. So.
Yep, you are right. And I think that's one of the things we really learned a lesson of during the pandemic is that once everyone quieted and stopped running, some people, they weren't happy with what they saw when all that busyness stopped. You know, for other people, once the busyness stopped, they had an epiphany. All of a sudden, they had a rebirth and they said, wait a minute, you know, maybe I need to be doing this instead of that. So it has been quite a difference of watching this evolution happen. Okay, another question. What do you do to nurture and grow your connections with others?
Intentionality. I make time. I've learned that we make time for what's a priority, right? And one of the things that we're watching is a misappropriation of time. All the things that we have failed to do are now coming at a great cost to so many. So one of the primary things that I do is I schedule times and use the tools we have. We focus so much on what we don't have. You got FaceTime, you got cell phones. There are just so many things that we can use to connect. Granted, the mechanism may be different, but find the value in what you have left. So I'm intentional about penciling time with my loved ones. Literally, I have a scheduled time every Monday where I do dinner dates with my twin via FaceTime. So it's being that more intentional. Send the text message. The one that you've been putting off for weeks, send it now. You know, making time for the moments you'll never get back.
You know, it's funny. I was telling a story that there was a gentleman that started out as a client of mine and we became friends. And over time, he moved on to something else. And he texted me about a month ago, just on a Saturday, like, hey, checking in, whatever. And of course, you get the typical, great to hear from you. You know, we'll catch up soon. You know how it goes, right? And so a month went by. And all of a sudden he popped into my head and I texted him and I said, hey, you know, do you have a moment? And we got on a call and he said, Laura, relationships take work. And I'm not prepared to let you go out of my life So I'm
Mhm.
going to make sure that we make time to always have a conversation here and there. And that kind of hit me. It really hit me to think it does take work. And it's too
Mhm.
easy to let people just go out of your life. You actually have to work and, like you said, make time to have those relationships be connected. Because what are we, right? But like we should be tied to those relationships and make time because it's so valuable to us.
So,
Wow, that's
mhm.
great. All right, one final question that I ask all of our Thrive Thursday authors. All right, you've learned lots of lessons in your life, right? I want you to share with us. Give us a lesson that you learned, and what advice would you give to the audience based on that lesson?
I would say courage by all means is the premier of all virtues, because without courage you cannot coexist in the others consistently. And that's actually a quote by Maya Angelou that I have proven to be a lifeline in how I see my life, because courage truly has to be the centering for how you see things. There are so many moments in life that we feel like, oh my God, I cannot survive this. Oh, this is so much bigger than me. And you have to robe yourself in the trust that courage breeds to know this too gonna pass. Just like I've gotten through the last thing, I'm gonna get through this. But it's through the cultivation of courage are you able to face all of life's big moments that you just don't understand.
Wow, what great advice. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. We certainly cannot wait to read your chapter. Thank you for being part of the Thrive Thursday book project and continue to just be your amazing self.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure being with you today.